Hey listeners, it's Kara, your host. After 176 amazing episodes and hundreds of book recommendations, I wanted to make it a little bit easier for you to find your next great read. The Bookish Lights Roadmap is your guide to all 175 podcast episodes, sorted by genre so you can quickly find the stories that fit your reading mood. From picture books to adult novels and everything in between, it's the perfect way to explore past episodes and discover new favorites. You can find your copy of the Bookish Lights Roadmap at www.bookishlights.com/read/roadmap, or just click the link in the show notes. Hi, it's Kara, your host. I wanted to take a minute to say that today's episode is sponsored by bakerbookhouse.com. Stay tuned at the end of the episode for a book flight of their sweet, swoony contemporary romance reads and how you can save 30% off. Welcome to the show. Today I'm chatting with Anna Johnston. Anna is a former baby, aspiring octogenarian, and internationally best-selling Australian author with a love for the heartfelt and hilarious. She grew up in country Victoria before moving to Melbourne, where she lives joyously with her husband and daughters by the beach. Anna left an imminent career in medicine to follow her heart into her grandfather's nursing home, where she became the social support coordinator, taking great delight in shaking up the usual program. When injury left her unable to continue working in aged care, she began to write about it, channeling her love for older people onto the page. I absolutely adored The Bowered Life of Frederick Fife, and it was one of my favorite reads of 2025. So I'm beyond excited to welcome her here today to discuss her latest novel, When Lemons Give You Life.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a joy to be here.
Yes, I have told so many people about Frederick. I'm like, you need to read this book. You know, it's one of those books you're just like pressing into the hands of others. Like, you need to experience this joy as well.
Thank you.
Yes. So we have Lemons Give You Life now. And for listeners that maybe haven't had a chance to pick it up yet, can you tell them a little bit about it?
Absolutely. So it follows a former Michelin star chef, Griff Barlow, who has lost his appetite for life. He's now living in a nursing home, widowed, depressed, and ready to end things. But rather than let the beige slop that they serve at the nursing home be his final meal, he breaks into the nursing home kitchen to cook himself one final lemon tart. The act of cooking stirs a long dormant joy, and soon he's regularly sneaking in after dark, creating dishes for other residents and giving them connection and dignity. But behind the apron is a lie so big that it could destroy the one thing he has left to protect. Meanwhile, we have his younger sister, Lisa, who is navigating a midlife ADHD diagnosis, the spark of a new romance, and some unexpected news that may change things as she knows it. Despite their long fractured sibling relationship, Lisa dutifully visits Griff, even though she knows hope of reconciliation is long gone. But when souffles and second chances collide, they may just stumble across a recipe for redemption.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, bravo. As you're saying that, I'm like, you're doing such a good job. So I from the very start, when you started saying about Griff and him finding his passion, I think there's something that resonates with so many of us because life gets in the way of many things that we're passionate for, but we just end up not having time for because life happens and life is happening to us. And
Absolutely.
oh, there's something so beautiful about that, like him just kind of rekindling that magic of his passion or finding it again after many years.
Yes, absolutely. And it saves his life. It literally saves his life. So it's an interesting concept.
Yeah, and I think it's things that we kind of, I mean, we even do it, right? We set things aside because we think we, don't have time for it. And so then we set, and then we forget what it does for our mental and emotional health when we were actually
Absolutely.
doing those things.
So true.
When you started out to write Griff's story, did you discover that maybe there were any passions you had set aside in your life? Or have you always kind of done well at keeping them there?
Well, I guess, for a long time, because I always thought I would become a doctor like my dad, and I, pursued getting into medical school, and I did half of medical school. During that time, probably my creativity was set aside a little bit, and that love, for creative writing and for theatre and drama. But thankfully, that's something I've, yeah, definitely been able to get back into since becoming an author.
Yeah. I imagine medical school and residency and all of that, is it as intense as it is here in the States?
Yes, very, very intense.
Yeah.
It's like studying and having a full-time job at the same time.
Yeah. So no time for anything else.
No
Like,
time. No, absolutely not.
yeah, I'm actually a physical therapist by trade, so I was in the medical world as
Um,
well. And I remember putting reading aside because I knew I was like, that would be all I would want to do would be read my leisure book.
yeah.
And I would not study because I would just want to know what's happening in my book. So I would have to
Mm,
set it
yeah.
aside when we were actively in a semester. I'd be like, nope, not right now.
Yes.
When you were writing these characters between Griff and Lisa, did you find one harder or easier to write?
Lisa was definitely easier because Lisa reflects my own lived experience. I was diagnosed with ADHD at 40. And
Okay.
so writing her was very easy for me. And she reflects a lot of my own experiences and making sense of this diagnosis of contrast, how I could study hard and get into medical school, and yet other things like housework are just like climbing Mount Everest. And how impulsivity can exist in the same brain as, immense empathy and creativity. So I really wanted to, yeah, capture the condition on the page. There's a lot of misunderstanding around ADHD in women,
Yeah.
and I hope a lot of people feel seen with her. Griff obviously was very different, and I was initially quite hesitant about writing a character that was outside of my own lived experience, as Griff is an older gay man. But I think it's just one of the privileges of being an author is being able to step into someone else's shoes with empathy and curiosity. And I was so privileged to work alongside a queer sensitivity reader, as well as two male gay author friends who were wonderful in just providing insight into Griff and his late husband, Beau, and how his queerness affected all aspects of their life, and I was really encouraged to dig deeper, and the characters expanded in this way that I never could have imagined. And it was really wonderful too, because I was made aware of some issues that still face older queer people as they age, that discrimination that is faced in some nursing homes. And I learned too that many queer people go back into the closet at the end of their lives because of fear of discrimination by residents or staff. And that was absolutely heartbreaking to me. But learning that, I was able to kind of weave that issue into the novel, which is, yeah, I feel is a great privilege. So, two very different characters, one very much my experience, one not. But yeah, I love both of them, Griff and Lisa.
Yeah, and what a gift for us readers too when we get to step in someone else's shoes. And obviously, as an author, I think you're
Mm,
doing that even more because you're trying to write them. But as a reader, we at least get to experience it for the pages of the novel, and that's something so
yes,
beautiful.
that's what I love about reading too. It's just a magical experience where you have that opportunity, and I think reading creates space for empathy and reflection and all of those things. So
Yeah,
yeah.
unlike anything else, right? I mean, I'm not going to be a gay older man in my later life, right? And so it
Um,
allows us to experience that,
mm,
and have a lived experience that we might not have or have never had.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm,
And it's funny you bring up the like ADHD and neurodivergence piece because there's like, it rattles around in my brain sometimes. And I was like, is this ADHD or is this just mom and life is chaotic? And like, I'm like, it rattles around. So for
mm.
Lisa's character to go through that too, it was just, it resonated so much because it's like constant in my mind of like, huh? Well, like, what is happening in here? Like, am I just
Um,
overwhelmed? Like,
yeah. I hope a lot of people do feel seen in Lisa, and or they see, their wife or their sister or their daughter, and get a little glimpse of what it's like to live inside a neurodiverse brain.
Yeah. And then just the conversations that that could open up,
Yes.
right? When you have
Absolutely.
that, or it gives us words, right? Like, I think there's a lot of times we don't know how to maybe express what we're feeling, but then you read it through a character and you're, oh, okay, it gives me, further understanding of myself, A, but B, a way to talk about it.
Yes, absolutely. Yep, that's another reason why reading is so magical.
Yes, well, we've kind of touched a little bit on it, but what is your wish for readers? What do you hope they'll take away when they pick up When Lemons Give You Life?
I think, at the moment we're in this post-pandemic world that's still full of uncertainty and fear and conflict. So I think readers are really hungry for stories that offer hope. And I sort of wrote When Lemons Give You Life as an antidote to despair, and to sort of show that, that second chances and healing from trauma and reconciliation with estranged loved ones is possible, and that joy is still possible when life has lost its flavour. So I hope readers come away feeling uplifted and perhaps wanting to reach out to people that they want to reach out to. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And hungry. I hope they leave hungry and go and cook a lemon tart and get into the joy of cooking.
That's actually was going to be my next question, so we must be on the same wavelength. Is do you cook?
I'm not a chef, but I'm a passionate home cook. I love cooking, cooking for my family. When I became a mum, I taught myself through YouTube how to make themed cakes, and it ended in these really elaborate sort of fondant decorated cakes. Some of them had moving parts. I don't have time to do that anymore, but I do love cooking. The main reason I love it, though, is that it's an expression of love. I love cooking not just for the sake of it, but as, making a meal for a friend who's sick, making a comfort food for a child that's had a hard day. I think, for me, food is one of our oldest languages, and it's ways in which we can express care and dignity and evoke memory. All of those things are just so important. It's far more than nutrition.
Yeah. I am Italian, so you are speaking my language
Ah,
here because
yeah.
I've said for a long time I think food should be the sixth love language because I think it
Yes,
absolutely is. It passed down from my grandmother and I feel it very much when I'm cooking for my family. It's the
that's
way I love you,
amazing.
And
Yeah.
you're considering each person in what you're making. And I have some picky kids, so it's like I'm considering everybody when I'm preparing dinner for them.
That's lovely.
I leaning on your background, right, of having worked with the elders, and
Mhm.
I think there's so much to be gained, and even in Frederick Fife about just, I see it in the younger generations, and, like there's so much to the elders and to the wisdom they can bring us. And so I
Mm.
love your books for that reason, that it, hopefully will bridge that gap a little bit between the ages.
I hope so. Absolutely. I think in books, but mainly in television and movies, we often see older characters who are only spotlighted because they can prove that they've still got it or whatever it is, or, that they still can hold on to the ability of their youth. You see older men riding jet skis or women in stilettos, still running
Yeah.
a company. But I also really, am passionate about highlighting older characters for whom it's okay to be old. They have failing bodies, and they're aged, and they don't rescue people by running into a burning building. But like in Frederick Fife, his superpower is his kindness, and I feel like that's something that we can also all aspire to. So when I'm 80, I don't expect to be running a company or solving complex murder mysteries, but I can set my sights on being kind. And yeah, that really, really appealed to me, to, yeah, put that on the page.
Well, and just as we were saying before, the empathy, right? It shows you another experience, and so hopefully the readers can walk away feeling differently, about
Mm.
the older population, or and all that they can bring, despite, like you said, the failing bodies or what we might have. And then I think it makes us afraid to age because of that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I really found that older people can really become invisible. They can be sort of put down to their diagnoses and seen for what they've lost rather than who they are and what remains. And I think it's so important that we support older people in holding on to their identity and seeing the person behind the number or the diagnosis, and really honoring that, and yeah, celebrating the richness and complexity of aging rather than seeing it as something to be feared.
Yeah. My grandma's actually going to be 100 this coming year.
Wow.
So we were just
Congratulations.
discussing of, this, it's around spring break time, and we were going to do another trip, and we're like, no, we actually need to go home because it's going to be her
Mm,
100th birthday. We all need to be there for that. But every time I go home, I'm just digging more into her stories. I mean, it's just incredible the amount of time she has lived.
mm,
I think that's my favorite part. And you can just see her light up when she gets to tell
yes.
them.
Yeah. It's so important. It's there that happy birthday to her.
Yeah. Yes. I'm always drawn to these older characters. For me, I had Amanda Cox on the show. I don't know. She's an author, and she had said
Mm,
her books
mhm,
that were like catnip to her. And for me, it's always the older characters. There's just something about
mm,
those stories that draw me in. So I love them. And
yes,
keep writing them, please, because
will
I
do.
will read everything you've ever written because of that. So.
Very
You
kind.
do such a great job. I feel like there are also emotional, like heartbreaking parts in your stories,
Mm,
but there's also
mhm.
that humor. So as you're writing, how do you balance the two?
I always think of it, and this is similar to the title, and I'm going to not get it right here, but when life gives you lemons, make lemonade.
Yeah.
But to make lemonade, you need sugar. And for me, humor is that sugar. So it really makes the bittersweet and the unbearable bearable. And personally, for me, my favorite books or films are the ones that pair humor and heartbreak together, because I think together they really evoke that whole spectrum of emotions. And each one is stronger because of the other. It's also a way of just making things really accessible to readers, because, there are a lot of really dark, um, you know, heavier themes, that on their own would be quite a depressing book. But when you mix it with that hopefulness, that humor, it really becomes something else and something far richer, I believe.
Yeah. And I think you read very differently, right? When you know there's that bit of hope, or you're weaving in the humor,
Yes.
as you're saying, versus you read something that's just sad all the way. I mean, it's just you're preparing for the next
Mm,
worst thing, versus when
yes.
there's hope. It's just you're able to, I think, experience and be open to it a bit more, versus I know me, I'm like, oh gosh, what's the next thing that's gonna happen? And I'm
Yes.
like treading on trepidation a bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You had this come out in Australia, and it's just coming out. It
Mhm.
came out in the US yesterday. Are you working on any upcoming projects?
I am. So I'm working on my third book at the moment, which is not set in a nursing home, but still has older characters. And it explores the importance of slowing down and returning to a human pace in a world that is getting faster and more instantaneous.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to, yeah, getting more into that and eventually sharing the characters, with the world.
Yeah. And what an important message for us all in that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think about it all the time for my kids because I'm like, if we already
Mm.
feel frenetic, like, how do I teach them? We don't always need to have something.
Absolutely. Everything is so instantaneous these days, particularly with the emergence of, AI and all of these things. I think it's important to take stock and, realize what we're missing out on if we only do things that are fast and instantaneous. And the value of slowing down is just such an important topic at the moment, I think.
And I think that's what reading allows us to do, right? Because you have to
Mm,
sit and spend 300 pages or more with a book. So you have
yes.
to sit and slow down, and it's not something you're going to fly through. Like you have to
Mm,
keep that, for the 300 pages you're reading.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, let's switch gears a little bit and let's talk about who you are as a reader. What genres do you enjoy?
My favorite genre is the one that I write in, sort of that uplit, feel good space. But I do like a book to have very high stakes. So there are a lot of just light-hearted reads that are, that are nice, but I really like it when it's sort of that roller coaster and page turning element. And I think that's what I'm trying to do in my book is combine the plotting of crime, and the twists and turns, but combining that with the feel good genre. I do enjoy crime, but I don't have a high level of tolerance for anything too scary or dark or gory. And so, yeah, I've tried to combine those elements, but I do read widely. I love memoirs as well. But yes, I love a whole bunch of books, but my genre would be my favorite, which is typical of authors. You usually write in your favorite genre.
Yeah, I mean, you're used to spending time there, so that just makes sense, right? Like, this is what I
Yes.
know, so this is where I'm going to
Yeah,
be. And there's a reason why you
absolutely.
gravitate towards that, right? Because it
Yes,
fills
absolutely.
your cup, for lack of a,
Yes.
the saying there. How in your busyness do you find time to read?
I listen to a lot of audiobooks. I have a theatre background. I'm like a big theatre nerd, and I've always just loved audiobooks for that dramatic element that it provides. But it's also really handy. You can listen to it in the car, you can listen to it on a walk. Um, so I do that a lot in between things. And then I try to set aside some time to read before bed.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much my life too. I think just the
Yeah.
busyness of the day, but an audiobook is a great companion when I'm cleaning the house
Yes, exactly.
or doing the to-do list, the things I have to do.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. It makes it more bearable.
absolutely. Well, I ask all of the guests to bring three books in the form of a book flight. Can you tell us how you chose your books today?
The three books I'm bringing today are all memoirs. The first is Don't Buy What
Okay.
I'm Selling by Lou Chakowski. I had the
Yeah.
pleasure of meeting Lou recently in New York, which was amazing. And this book draws on their experience as a top advertising executive. It's one of the most original books I've read in ages. It's part memoir, part expose, and it has these really clever fake advertisements woven throughout, selling things like health and other impossible ideals that brilliantly reinforces the book's message about how advertising shapes the way we see ourselves. They combine humor and vulnerability and a really sharp insight in a way that feels completely fresh. I also highly recommend the audiobook, which Lou narrates themselves. It adds
Oh,
so
I
much
love
to
when
an
they do.
already fantastic read.
So that was Don't Buy What I'm Selling by Lou Jankowski. And what's the next book you
Yes.
brought today?
Imogen in Waiting. Again, I was so lucky to meet this beautiful author. She's an American, but she lives in Australia.
Okay.
She's done an event with me for Lemons before. It's her own journey through cancer and through reproductive health and decisions that she encountered along the way. It's beautifully written. I read it in one sitting,
Wow.
basically. Yeah, highly, highly recommended. A really touching and poignant memoir that really makes you think.
Okay. So that was Imogen in Waiting. And what's the last one you brought today?
The Happiest Man on Earth by Eddie Jaku,
Yeah.
um, which is, yeah, I think many people will be familiar with this book. It's the memoir of a Holocaust survivor who has been able to hold on to joy throughout his whole life. It's incredibly moving, and it really makes you reflect on what you're grateful for in your own life.
Yeah. I am just picturing that cover and he radiates joy from the picture on the cover.
He
I mean,
does,
you can
even from the
feel it.
picture. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So that was The Happiest Man on Earth by Eddie Janku. Thank you so much for bringing those. The listeners
A
love to know
pleasure.
what you are reading. How I love to end our show is with a speed round of questions you can answer really quick. What's your
Great.
favorite snack or drink while writing?
Or I would say, oh, that's a really hard one. I love Yeah, sort of like just a plate of fruit is really yummy with some peanut butter.
Yeah. It's hot summer right now here in the States, and I'm like, oh, that sounds so good.
It's winter here and raining, but yeah, I guess it depends on the season. But yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Could you describe when lemons give you life in one word?
joyful.
Okay. What's one book you've recommended over and over again?
It is Maureen Fry and the Angel of the North by Rachel Joyce. It's lesser known than the Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry, but it's actually the sequel to that takes place 10 years later, and it's from Harold's wife point of view. It's a
Oh,
novella,
okay.
but it is so beautifully written. It is so poignant. Highly recommend if you enjoyed The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry to check that one out.
Wonderful. And lastly, what are you reading next?
I'm finally reading My Friends by Frederick Backman.
Yes.
It's been on my TBR for so long, and I'm loving it.
Yes, he is such a unique writer. I love him.
He is,
Yeah.
yes, one of my favorites.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show with me today. I know your time is precious, and I appreciate all you've given me.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for listening to this episode today with Anna Johnston to discuss her latest novel, When Lemons Give You Life. Her book flight includes memoirs. We'd love to hear what other books you'd pair with this book flight at bookishflights.com. Sweet summer contemporary romance reads are coming your way. From swoony rom-coms to heartfelt love stories, perfect for warm days, here's a bit about each book before you order your next book from bakerbookhouse.com for 30% off and free shipping. In Bookmark for Love by Sarah Monzon, Martha Aldridge is desperate to save the children's programs at her library, and she strikes a deal with her now wealthy childhood crush, Julian King, who needs her expertise to resurrect his family's children's imprint to prove himself to his father. As they're forced to work together, attraction ignites, and they realize their jobs are not the only thing on the line. In a Word, Yes by Kit Chisello, Lucy Montgomery excels at making boundaries, but her dreams of writing a book and finding love require risk. Her celebrity mother, Carly Montgomery, lives an enviable life but is facing her own regrets, including holding her daughter at arm's length. To embrace a new way forward, they must take a step of faith and open their hearts to love. In Almost by Design by Jenny Erlinson, a blunder and an injury threaten Kenya Stewart's career, so she fakes a relationship with Dr. Solomon Onruchi to restore her coveted promotion and appease his demanding parents. As attractions increase amid their ruse, secrets they've kept from each other begin to unravel their scheme. Will their plans crumble when the truth comes out? Get all of these books for 30% off and free shipping through bakerbookhouse.com. Today, you can find the link in the show notes. As Emma Thompson said, I think books are like people in the sense that they'll turn up in your life when you most need them. Cheers to you, dear readers. Until next time.